What happens right here every morning has allowed me to eat my best nutrient dense food every single day for over 10 years. Food that is better than any restaurant, food that has allowed me to feel and perform and think and just be my best every single day, day after day, week after week, and now year after year. And that compounded best eating and best feeling has turned into the absolute best life. And so I wanted to start sharing with you what the morning routine looks like. It's so fast. Once I had set up my system, and I just keep doing it every day, it has become so automatic. It's like breathing. It's done really quickly. The whole kitchen area is set up to work really quickly. And so within a few minutes, I am set up for the best eating success every single day. Now, I must add, it does start the night before. So the routine is to take out what I need for the next day and let it thaw right here in the sink. And then every morning I show up here, it's the first thing I do, and I just figure out whatever I need to do to prep for the day. And most often it's just a few minutes. So today is a little bit different, but this is a staple. I always have 1 jar of bone broth. This is enough for Bezad and for me. Sometimes we give a little bit to the dogs every single day. So we have these frozen. We always have a new batch going on the stovetop. So that one is cooking right now. And it makes about 7 or 8 of these jars. So our freezer is filled with these jars. So last night we took one out, and now this morning I just take it and I put it right on the stove, and I just turn it on low because I'm probably not going to eat for hours. And so that's just going to be on low the whole day. And then whenever I'm ready, getting close to eating, I'll turn it up a little bit, and then it'll be the perfect temperature to consume. So that has allowed me to drink bone broth every single day, and it is phenomenal for how I feel. I am just so strong and I feel my best every day. Okay, so then right now, if I showed you our fridge, our fridges, we have a lot of leftovers. So we've been making food, and so the only thing that we're gonna add is this ground bison, and we're gonna just make that later whenever we get ready to eat. So I'm just gonna put this in the fridge for later. So on this special day, we have we've run out of our natural food for our pets, for our 2 dogs, and so we make jars for 10 days. So every 10 days, our sink is really full with their food. So I remember reading before, probably 13 years ago, I did not know how to cook. I did not know how to eat. I just would eat like cereal and vegetables raw. I mean, it was a struggle my whole life. So I remember reading in a cookbook, and it was talking about grass-fed meat and how to cook that. And then it mentioned in a sidebar our pets. And it said, just like our human cells and our body performs best when we eat real nutrient-dense food from healthy soil and healthy plants, our pets are the same. So our pets are not used to the industrial pet food. That's such a recent invention. And our pets are also experiencing a lot of the modern health problems that we are experiencing. So it just made so much sense, but I had never thought of that. I just thought pet food was what you bought at the store under the pet food section. And so this really changed my whole thinking, and so I started reading and researching, and we've been doing this for several years for our pets. In the beginning, it might feel overwhelming, but now it's so much easier looking back. I don't have to struggle with a big bag of pet food and keeping that stored and remembering to shop for it. What we do now is we just purchase more of our people food straight from our farmer, and it's a way to support our farmer. It's a way to use the entire animal. So what happens is when you purchase an entire animal from a farmer, you get everything, all the cuts. And so there's some like top round steaks that are just really hard to make palatable for me. So, but they work out perfectly for our pets, because our pets, they have such strong jaws from their wild ancestry that they need to chew and tear muscle meat. And for us, that is just not an enjoyable meal. It's not easy for us to chew, so this just works out perfectly. So, and I do remember reading, I don't know if this is true, but that our pets were domesticated because when we would hunt, we would know the most nutrient dense parts of the animal were the organs and the liver, and so we would eat that, and then we'd be left with all of the muscle meat, and the wolf packs would become our friends because we would share that muscle meat with them. So that's what we're doing. The secret to feeding your dog, that's what we have, 2 dogs. We have a fan who is really excited because she knows what's happening here, so she watches closely. But the key to feeding our pets naturally, I highly recommend dogsnaturallymagazine.com, and that is where I learned everything. I had to trust this process because it does involve raw meaty bones, and they consume this raw, and I had always thought, oh, don't feed any bones to your dogs. So I had to watch YouTube of seeing dogs. I had to read a lot. But the difference for dogs is you have to get the phosphorus and calcium ratio figured out. So you wouldn't ever want to just feed raw muscle meat, because then their stool would be very loose. It would be very difficult for their digestion. So they need calcium from bone. And the best way to think about this is just to think about them in the wild. So they would come upon an animal, probably ours are very small, so like a small like mouse or a small bird of some sort, and they would have to eat that whole thing, including the feathers and the fur and the bone, and all of that would be the perfect amount of nutrients for them. In addition to their working their jaws of having to tear through everything. So we try to keep it really natural like that. So it should be about, when you think of like creating a whole animal, it should be roughly about 60% of the raw meaty bone, like roughly 40% of the muscle meat, and then you should always include like, this isn't gonna add up, so just bear with me, but like think like 10% heart and liver, so you always want to have the organ, and then I'll show you what we do every once in a while, probably like 2-3 times a week with their supplements. We also feed them our fermented foods every day. So the fermented, they have microbes just like we do. So fulfilling that that live food with probiotic, or not probiotics, but like sauerkraut or pickles that have been wild fermented. So it's basically sharing what you eat with your nutrient dense food. So what we do is we took all this out. We have a really good system for 10-day sessions, and so we fill 10 of these jars, and then we freeze them, and then we just take a jar out each day. So this jar is enough for 2 of our small dogs, and that's just the system that's worked really well for us. So I'm just gonna really quickly show you. So this, just like it did for me switching my diet, it just takes a little while of, creating your routine. Once you find a farmer, it is just support that farmer however you can, because that's where all of the nutrients come from, and that's what's going to keep you and your dog feeling really nourished and full. So that is the key. And then, like I said, you saw our human food. That only took like a minute, and this is just once every 10 days. It just takes a little bit longer. So I always think of it like meditation. So it's always just quiet, or Bezad and I do this together, and we just kind of fill the jars. The dogs are so happy because they know what's coming, and they just love it. So what we do for our small dogs, Rumi will have 2 chicken necks every day. Layla, this time around, so she would either get 2 chicken necks or 1 chicken head. This is what it looks like. And often with your chicken farmer, you can get this discounted because most people aren't looking for necks and heads and all of that. If your dog is bigger, they can eat the whole entire frame, a chicken frame, chicken feet. And then, every animal has bones. So just visit Dogs Naturally magazine, and it will show you all the ways that your dogs can get raw, meaty bones. So this, we will feed them raw, and they will consume the entire bone. It's super important not to cook bone and feed your dog cooked bones ever, because that's when it splinters and can cause a lot of problems for them. You do want to always supervise your dog, and since our dogs have done this since they were little teeny puppies, they're just really good at eating it. If for some reason your dog was having trouble, you could chop it up with the scissors, or Dogs Naturally magazine has this amazing, it's from grass-fed bones, and it's a dried bone powder. Now this is super intense, so you only need a little bit. So we have this as a backup. When your dog is a puppy, they need a lot more calcium, and you'll see that on the directions, and you'll just get to know all of this the more you do it. But if for some reason we forgot to take out their food or ran out, we could even go to our co-op, which we know has grass-fed raw ground beef that's not frozen, and then we could sprinkle some of this, and then they would have a meal for that day. Dogs also, it's really good for them to have, and I've read in some places it's good for them to have fasting even up to twice a week, but not when they're puppies. So this is the bone, and then each dog gets 2 hearts each day. So we put the hearts in, and then, ooh, I forgot to cut this. So 1 chicken liver between the 2 of them, and for Layla, I just cut, she is so excited down here. I just cut that into some smaller pieces. I'm also going to do that for the gizzards. Now this is a treat. Chicken gizzards, they love these. So she's getting really excited down here. They really know what's happening. We also bring the dogs to our shop, and we have so many people who ask us, or they just don't even ask, they just say, your dogs are so calm, and I always say it's because of their diet, but they also are really super healthy. So this route might be just like for people food, might be a little bit more expensive, but when you think about all the time it saves, how you're supporting regenerative farmers, even how you're contributing to the reversal of climate change. And we have no vet bills, so we're saving so much money with vet bills because we invest in their food. So it works out really well. So now the only thing left is just putting in their muscle meat. And that's it. So I'm just going to keep doing that. And if you have any questions, she's staring right now. Really excited. Are you excited? Huh? Yeah? You want to watch up here? The gizzards are a little hard.
Should we?
So this will probably take about 10-15 more minutes, and then we're just gonna put them in the freezer, and I'll go ahead and make their plate for today's food, and then we'll be good for 10 days, and we have successfully fed ourselves and our dogs the most nutrient-dense food every single day successfully for several years. And we all have experienced the best health of our lives.